Do you remember the first few hours of being let out?
Oh, that was unreal.
Let's say 40 hours from that time right then. I will be leaving the institution on my own for the first time in a very, very long time.
Well, they say when there's a significant event in someone's life, they remember every detail. And I remember every detail. I remember it was 65 degrees and it was raining that day.
You're listening to Life on the Outside. It's a podcast where people share stories about what it's like to return to society after decades of incarceration.
First of all, I didn't believe that they were letting me out. So when the officer opened the door and said, "McAfee, you're paroling today," I walked all the way up to the gun tower and said, excuse my expression, "You're telling a fucking lie and stop bothering me." And it just came as a total shock that today you're going home, and I haven't got any information prior to that. I went in for my life sentence at the age of 19 and was released at the age of 56.
Being let out like that kind of seems unsettling.
Shocking? Yeah. I went all the way through receiving and release and all the way out the door. And they put us into a van because I didn't have a ride there at the time to take me home. And as I'm walking out, I'm still in such a shock that the bag broke on a lot of my property and I just left it there.
What kind of bag was it?
I had a big plastic bag. I had 2 big plastic bags and 2 boxes. So the one I was carrying, I was pushing some other ones, but the one I was carrying, it actually broke. I looked back, looked at the rest of it, looked back, looked at the prison, and said, and kept going. They said, "Aren't you gonna get your property?" No, I'm out of here. I had some paperwork, I had some photos, and I'm looking back and I had some books that from my college, and some other things that I don't remember today. But it was a lot of stuff that I knew I wanted to bring with me and I should have brought with me because, photos you can't replace. But weighing that against the prospect of me getting just to the gate and they saying, hey, April Fools, we lied.
That's what you thought this was going to happen.
Yeah. All the way to the gate, and they were going to get to the gate, they're going to cuff you up and say, "You know what? You're actually not paroling, we made a mistake."
How long did you keep thinking that?
2 weeks after I was out. Actually, it was more like a month, but 2 weeks where it began to settle in, they're not coming to get me.
Has that happened? Is that a realistic fear to have?
Well, I've seen it happen once before where a guy paroled, and then about 3 weeks later, they brought him back in, said that he still owed more time. And there was a guy who was in the hospital, he was dying. This is another guy. And so they released him because he was dying. And because he didn't die in the specified time that they thought he was going to die, they tried to rearrest him. I said, that doesn't make any sense. And, I know that case because he was older than me and he grew up with my older brother. And he had served just about 40 years.
So for 2 weeks, you were super on edge.
I was on edge.
When did you get out?
December 31st, 2014. And oddly enough, that's exactly 37 years to the hour.
No way.
December 31st, 1977.
What was the hardest thing to adjust to?
Well, it's 2 of them. Being able to go out by myself, sitting on the bus with all these people, right, and of different nationalities, because in prison they're sectioned off. They got the whites on this side, the Hispanics on this side, And here you're sitting next to a Hispanic, a white, an Asian, or what have you, and you're sitting there, And you're constantly looking at the pockets. Wonder if he got a knife. Wonder, you know. And a lot of times I literally got on the bus, walked all the way to the back of the bus, and got into the furthest corner of the bus so I can watch the whole bus. And I missed my stops quite a few times, because I didn't want to get off the bus and walk past all these people, not knowing what they had.
And this isn't from your time on the street. This is from prison that you
have
this.
My prison mentality, because I still haven't adjusted here. So I've been through 7 wars, been stabbed a total of 14 times, and almost lost my foot. This finger here.
This too?
Well, no, this happened when I was real young on the street wrestling with my dog.
Your dog did that?
Yeah. He tripped me into a flower pot.
Oh no, that's a real scar.
Yeah. When you go in prison, you always walk with 2 to 3 partners, because you never know what's going to happen. In a split second, a riot can happen, or you might have a bunch of people just rush. Out of, say, 30 people, at least 9 to 10 of them have weapons. So you have to always be ready. And that was real hardcore, I was like, youngster. Yeah, man, I'm black, and these white boys, they're dangerous, and they,
Mm-hmm.
So, and you get caught up in that cycle for a minute.
Did getting involved protect you in some way?
Yes, and
Or gave you a reputation?
it gave you a reputation, but at the same time, it made you a target. Because I was always the first one to run in, or always in the riot and wasn't afraid to get in it, then if somebody else decided, hey, we need to get at them, but he's the one we got to get first. When the realization of freedom comes, an entirely different stress, because now it's all the people you'll never see again, your parents, some siblings, some relatives. You fight to balance that against not seeing them and being free, being happy and being sad at the same time.
You didn't have that stress in prison?
No, because it's surreal. It's not, we know that it happens, and we even cry about it. But the reality of it doesn't hit you until you're there and you no longer see them. Half of you expects to walk into the same house and see your family or see your parents or see whomever, say, wow, and hug them and kiss them, and
Mm-hmm.
But then you walk and somebody else is living in that house. You don't see the familiar, maybe even older, but the familiar person walking down the street because they're no longer there. And for me, I saw shadows. Because I turned the corner and I'm expecting to see my grandmother. I'm expecting to see my cousin. Who he got shot in a gang fight. And I'm expecting to see all these people that are near and dear to me. And when I turn the corner, they're not there. So there's another reality that hits you, and reality just continues to hit you as you go until you don't settle into it. You just find a way to make peace with it. I mean, life is a real struggle out here. In there, granted, you get what they call, they used to say 3 hots in a cot, right? Mm-hmm. But you get breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You get bedding in the cupboards. You get clothes. If you're indigent, you get soap to shower with. You have all the basic amenities that you need to survive in prison. But I wouldn't trade one of my worst days in here for my best day in there. Because out here, I know that I'm responsible for the upliftment of myself, and I'm responsible for my step-grandchildren, going to football games, making sure they're on the right track. I'm responsible for being the best provider I can be at this time and constantly improve. You know, I'm responsible for my upward mobility, for getting better. You know, so I wouldn't trade that for anything.
So for 2 weeks you were super on edge.
I was on edge.
And then after 2 weeks, what changed?
Well, I went to the beach, and Santa Monica Beach. We were at Santa Monica Beach, and I was walking around Santa Monica Beach, and I just sat down on one of the benches, and just looked at the vast nothingness, the vast ocean. And for all I can see, there was nothing but water. There was no bars, no gates, no prison guards, no keys clanging, you know. And I was just listening to the ocean. I said, damn, I'm really free.